Hello, everybody. Let us get started. All right, so a little bit about what this is and what we're gonna do. Well, I guess you're just gonna probably see it in the thumbnail, but whatever. Thing is, I want to talk about Austin Butler today, and I have a few thoughts about him. I have a few things that I would like to say about him. This is kind of sort of like a dissection of Austin Butler, kind of like I don't know, analysis of Austin Butler, and now everything here is anyone except Austin Butler. So let me just search his name real quick. Okay, so recently, kind of like I guess a few days ago, I finished his latest movie that was Caught Stealing, and well, I loved it so much. I watched it twice. First, I watched it at night the first night, and then tomorrow, as soon as I came back from work and school and everything, I sat down again and watched it one more time from the very beginning to the end, one entire time. It was just so awesome. I really loved it, and I just cannot tell you how much I love this guy. He's just so brilliant in his acting and everything. And I'm not gonna sit here and just praise him. And obviously, he's lovable. But I just want to talk a little bit about his entire career and his personality and whatever. So I feel like he is a sort of the kind of actor that he can play anything, and it's just so brilliant. And I think, from his previous movies, I don't know how many movies back it was the Elvis Presley movie, and he was just so brilliant in that, right? And I guess it was the first time I ever even came to know him. It was after Elvis. It was the first time I came to know. I was born in 2000, so I obviously didn't know Elvis. It was the first time I ever became acquainted or even got to know what Elvis was. Actually, it's funny, the only time I've even heard of Elvis, like I knew of his existence, was through one of Eminem's songs, where he's like, I don't even remember the song, but somewhere very briefly Eminem mentions Elvis, and I kind of like, because of that Eminem song, I always like presumed in the back of my head, like Elvis was supposed to be some sort of rock star way, way back in the time. Like he was there. He existed. There was a very famous singer called Elvis like a million years ago. That's all I knew of Elvis. And when I saw the movie Elvis, I was like, whoa, oh my God. So that's the Elvis everybody keeps talking about, Eminem keeps talking about. I guess he just mentioned him like once. And I was like, oh my God, that is Elvis. Oh, now I know who Elvis was. And interestingly enough, well, ironically, we're just talking about Elvis here in an Austin Butler movie, Austin Butler analysis. And ironically enough, I mean, it's not ironic, but interestingly enough, I found that Elvis's daughter was married to Michael Jackson, and we all knew what a huge deal Michael Jackson was, but I never knew Elvis was like before Michael Jackson, and a lot of actually Michael's moves were stolen, not stolen, inspired by Elvis, and like Elvis was before Michael, and he was even bigger than Michael, and they were kind of in the same time zone. Like his daughter was married. I don't know if he was married. I'm not entirely sure. Was married to Michael, and it was just so interesting that they were like around each other's time, and they kind of like existed in that time frame. It all was just so amazing to me. And I mean, I guess you kind of know I'm not American, so I wasn't really acquainted with the culture and everything, like all the pop stars. I just remember when I was 9, we were at my uncle's, and there was the TV playing, and it was talking about Michael Jackson's death and how it was a big thing and nobody believed it, and how the people thought it was fake, like he reappeared in his ceremony, I don't know, his funeral. stuff like that. And I was 9 at the time, and I remember that, and that was like my entire personal memory of Michael Jackson. So I guess you'd know how far away Elvis would be from me. So after watching Austin Butler's Elvis Presley movie was the first time I even became like I became to know what this whole thing was about, like the entire thing. And then after that movie, the whole thing about Elvis has left the building made sense to me. Like that phrase started making sense to me. Elvis has left the building. And then after that, I went on and watched a bunch of his concerts and his videos online and everything. And in his videos and his stuff online, Elvis is shown to be this big, huge thing, but then in the movie, you kind of see how insecure he actually was and how he kept feeling like his music didn't matter. He had to play in some sort of movie. The movies were always made fun of after that. I mean, I knew that they were, and stuff like it, we was just it was which was so weird. And then enough of Elvis. I went into all that just to say that after the Austin Butler movie, after Elvis, let's just bring it here. After Elvis, it was like um, his voice changed, right? So his voice changed. Let's hear this.
Baby, 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 come back, baby. I want
Well, my internet
to
sucks.
see.
Oh my, I guess it's because of the screen recording. My equipment is really not that good. Whatever. I'm sorry. All right, so after this Elvis movie, his voice entirely changed. And in a lot of his which is what a big thing I want to talk to you about, his voice changed. It was so deeper, and he's commented on it so many times. And it was like for a very long time afterwards, he just kept sounding like Elvis. His regular talking voice really isn't Elvis voice. I mean, it's not. It's just it's like he's talking from very deep throat, kind of like that, and his accent was kind of Elvis, but his voice really wasn't. I mean, Elvis didn't talk like that. I gotta say, like his normal talking Elvis voice, like Elvis's normal talking voice. I'm sorry for that. Really doesn't is anything at all like Austin Butler's voice. In the movie, it does sound like him. His singing voice does sound like him. His accent is very similar, but the actual talking voice, they're not really that similar. And it just made Austin be stuck with a voice that wasn't really his. It was just a very deep throat. I guess it kind of like he even says it once that maybe he's even I don't heard his chords, his voice chords. Is that what they call it? He said like he strained his voice or something, like it was actually damaged, but I don't believe that because in some other videos or some later movies that he's played, his voice is no longer Elvis, which is quite interesting, and I want to get into that as well. But just hear this for a second, and then I'll get into that.
In that moment, in a flash of lightning, I watched that skinny boy in the pink suit transform into a superhero. Well, you ain't go to school. You may have a pink Cadillac, but don't you make nobody's rule, my baby. Come back, baby. Come back, baby. Come back, baby. I won't well now. Well, it's the little baby. My baby. Come back, baby.
Is it just the background sound completely left? Is that right? Why is that happening?
Not a lot of talk about.
There goes trouble.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, driving on the track.
I guess it's me. The voice is not really good. I don't know. I haven't heard this back, but anyway, let's get into this. His voice was completely, utterly different, right? So, and he says maybe he's damaged it
Additionally,
forever,
subs.
like it's gone for good or whatever. But interestingly enough, what I've really interestingly noticed about him is his last movie, Caught Stealing. His voice is his in certain scenes where he's talking in an emotion he's trying to act, like ironically enough the only time his actual voice comes back in is when he's trying to act for another role. That's where his actual voice comes to life, which is quite interesting. Like, the only times you actually get to hear his actual, very lovely voice is when he's trying to act for another role, which just shows how great of an actor he is. It's just so amazing because how great of an actor would you have to be able to, for a role, change your voice like that and like even get out of the Elvis voice that was so hard for him to get rid of, and then he gets easily out of that voice by trying to act for another role, which is just so beautiful. And not only in that last movie of his, but also in some of the SNL sketches that he's done. In the SNL sketches, his voice is completely normal, which is just so amazing. Like whenever he's trying to act, his voice goes back to normal, or kind of better to say, his voice, like exactly like in here, his voice is more suitable for the role he's acting for. Better to say that. Uh, and it's just amazing. Like whenever he's actually acting, his voice acts voicing act. I don't know, his voice acting and his voice for acting that role is completely suitable for that role and changes so easily, so dynamically, so fluidly. It's amazing. It just shows how great of an actor he actually is. So let's hear this.
If they said I have marzipan, I'd say abduct me, baby.
You see that? He's just so adorable in here. And it's for 2 years ago. And Elvis movie was 2022, and now it's 2025. So it's obviously after the Elvis movie, but his voice is completely normal in here because he's trying to act for this role, which is just brilliant. And I think him saying he can't go back to that. Oh, but he did say that, well, after I watch a movie, I really stalk guys on the internet to get to watch every interview they've done, to listen whatever everything they have to say is just something that I do. Uh, and I thought maybe I should make a movie about it. That's why I'm like making a video about it. And the thing is, he says
Well, gang,
he's if he doesn't try to sound any particular way, his Elvis voice comes out. But when he's trying to sound any other particular way, like if he's not thinking consciously about his base default voice is the Elvis voice. So I guess that's kind of understandable. Like he's trained it so hard, his it's like become a habit for him. Like you talk a certain way for so long, it just becomes your habit. There's nothing you can do about it. I get that. Okay. But now it's really gone away. I feel like in his latest interviews, he's sounding a lot better. And again, oh, by the way, by, after his very last movie, Caught Stealing, I feel actually, now that I'm saying this, I wanted to say after his last movie, he's really become more similar to his latest role. Like he's actually kind of like Hank a little bit in that movie, now in real life, in his interviews as well. And that's because I feel like his roles stay with him. Like he was a lot like Elvis after his Elvis role, and now after his last movie called Stealing, he's a lot like Hanks. I feel like he like embodies the role so much because in his latest interviews with this girl, with this lovely, lovely gal, which I'm forgetting her name right now.
No, I think you should go.
Zoe. Yeah, I knew that. Zoe, I definitely don't know how to read the last name. Uh, The interviews that Austin is now doing with Zoe is just so brilliant. It's just so the chemistry, and everyone says it in the comment. Like there's such a chemistry between them, and his entire personality, like Austin's personality, is like totally different, and it's a lot like the movie, I might say. And they're just so much more fun, so much more like relaxed and cool, and I don't know, they're more playish together. And Austin is playish in the interviews as well, like in his previous interviews about Elvis. I guess it was kind of required of him because he was talking about Elvis and the Elvis's family is still alive, and he kind of had to be serious about it and like maintain a kind of a respectful air about it. I guess he was like a lot more serious, but now after this last movie, he's like a lot more playful, which is just so amazing to see. Like, it's so cool, so much more fun to watch, I guess. Like his interviews about Elvis, what happened in here? I didn't really like. It was just so serious and monotonous, and I don't know. I just never really liked it. But now he's just so cool. I love him a lot more after the last movie, and his voice is so much different. Like he's a lot more. He's like going back into his own personality more after that last movie. Like, let's hear this.
Lou. Lou's casting.
Speaking of British cultural icons, you and I share several scenes opposite this man,
It's Matt Smith. I've seen him before.
who asks you to watch his cat in the film. If Matt asked you to watch his actual dog in real life, would you?
Yeah.
Or would you say you were sick?
No, I love dogs. People.
Well, actually, now listening for it, he does have a little background of a deep throat kind of a voice, but it's a lot more relaxed, I might say, like a lot more relaxed into him. It's less phony sounding. I don't know, he doesn't like that word. He's said it a lot in the interviews that he doesn't like to be called a phony or whatever, or he doesn't want to be a phony. I think that it's a lot less. When he's talking slowly or in a low voice, that voice comes out. But when he's shouting, screaming, or like trying to portray an emotion, his actual voice comes out more. Again, we don't know which voice is his actual voice, so we're not going to get into that. And then now, besides that whole chemistry thing and the fun interviews they've done about the movie Caught Stealing and the fun things that they do together and his very fun way of conducting himself, I guess. I don't know. I love him really a lot after the movie and the interviews that he's done about this movie. Now, besides that, I want to get into something. There's this interview he does on the bus or on the train. The interview, the thing on the train thing. Let me search that. And in there, the interviewer says, I didn't know how you were going to be. I thought you were always so serious. You had all these different roles. And on the train, I guess, let's just yeah, this one. Yeah, funky ass white boy. And then the interviewer says, I thought you were going to be so serious talking about all these big philosophical topics and whatnot. And he does. He is actually very serious. Out of a lot of actors, he's the most, I guess, like the least. Um, I don't know how to put this. He doesn't talk small talk so much. I mean, he's very easy to be around. He wants to get to know the interviewer. He's very like easygoing, like sociable. But he has this intense aura about him, I might say. He's like there's this intense thinking behind him, and he's always like, "Oh, I'm playing with all these guys that I admire, that it was my dream as a child to do that." And stuff like that. When he says that, it's like it makes him seem so deep, and he is deep. And I guess a big reason for that is how he always mentions his mom and how his mom died when he was 20 years old. And also, I want to point that around to saying that in the movie Caught Stealing, he's a big mama's boy, so he's like he's always keeps in touch with his mom, calls her every day, and if he misses a day, he gets really anxious and stuff. So in the movie, that's like that, and I guess that's one of the main characters that they wrote in for that character to make him very lovable because in the movie they wanted kind of a character where it was very strongly established that he was the good guy and bad things were happening to him, but he was the good guy. He was lovable, and we like he was a protagonist, and the audience was supposed to go with him in the movie. So because of that, because that he's supposed to be lovable, they make this huge deal about him calling his mom every day and everything like that. And in real life, Austin is actually like that. He actually loves his mom so much. And he keeps talking about it in every thing that he's been into. He's somehow gone around to mention this. Like he somehow finds a way to mention that he loves his mom and that how he lost his mom at age 21 or 22, I guess, and or maybe 20 or 19. I really don't know. He works it around to that point somehow in all of his interviews, and I guess that is also a major thing why we love Austin as well, and why he's such a lovable character because of his connection with his mama. And I feel like every guy who uh, has this big connection with his mom or had a connection with his mom, like his if a mom is a big influence on a boy's life growing up, that influence is going to make that boy a lot more lovable in the future because you get a lot of very good feminine characters in you, like kindness and um, empathy and stuff like that. So Austin has grown up to be influenced by his mom so much that he's like a love ball. He's just so kind and adorable, you know. And I guess it is because of his relationship with his mom and how they were so close when he was young, and then because of her death and the way it makes Austin sad so much, and it's a weird twist in his life, I guess, but it makes us love Austin a lot more because of his love for his mom, which is very brilliant and beautiful, and I really like it. And there was this SNL sketch again, where he's doing his monologue about his mom, and then at the end of his monologue, it's not about his mom, the monologue. At the end of his monologue, he says something about his mom, and because it's an SNL theme, you would think he'd work it around into a joke or something, like get a laugh at the end of it somehow, like get a twist at the end of it to like reduce the intensity of the situation, but he doesn't. It stays real. The sadness of his mom's death stays real. There's no twist. There's no laugh. There's nothing. It just stays with you, and you get to feel the grip the sadness has on his heart, and I guess it makes us feel it too. This is Austin Butler SNL monologue, however you spell that. Well, YouTube's great. Thank you a lot. We have a connection issue. That is brilliant. I don't know how to fix that. Whatever. So yes, and you would think like a lot of actors make fun of themselves or like say something like that in an SNL monologue, but then they work it into a twist somehow to make it to get a laugh at the end. But the thing with Austin stayed real. It never changed. It just kept on staying real, and it was so heartbreaking. I mean, I watched it and I got to see him tearing up a little bit, and I thought maybe it was an act, maybe he was like exaggerating in a way, but it stayed real. It was no exaggeration, which was just so painful for a while. And how can you appreciate an SNL sketch after that, right? Like, well, that's not good to say. Anyway, so I just want to say that his mom had a very big influence on him, especially because of the movie Caught Stealing. No. What am I saying? I was my thought changed. Yeah, like in the movie Caught Stealing, the connection with his mom. It's also in real life, and it's just so amazing. And what else did I want to say about him? Well, let's just watch a little bit of him in here if we can.
How'd your boys do today?
They beat the Pirates. So, one game back.
Blade.
Yo,
Not sure I recognize the face, but they look familiar. Right up.
You doing, geezer?
I've got a fucking comedian in the house. Is that the best you can do? You sound like Dick Van Dyke, mate. All right, Yvonne. Looking nice. Little booty call, is it?
Sorry, Dwayne.
I like to party, but some of us work in.
Yeah, I love that scene.
It's not for you. That's human food.
You see, his voice is so normal in here, and it's just brilliant. I don't know why this one's not coming up. I really wanted to have some sort of a background because this went out, my whole thought process just went out. Yes, I did search Austin's girlfriend because I'm a little bit jealous, I feel like, maybe a little bit, not so much. And also, so yes, here he is, 34 years of age. And his other projects I want to talk to you about. He supposedly played and acted in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well, and he was the one of the goofy characters, the crazy ones, and I never really. His part is so short in that you never really know it. No, he was there after the fact, like after now that he's a little famous, I know that he was there, but before that, I had no idea. And in Eddington, I tried to watch Eddington too, and it was just so I never got to finish it. I guess I watched him around like 30 minutes or something, and I never got to the part where Austin was in it. The only reason I downloaded it was to see Austin, but I never saw him play in it, and I got bored and I turned it off. I'm sorry, Eddington. And in Dune, oh my God, the way he does that knife thing in Dune. And then I remember I saw that and I was like, oh my God, what a psycho he is. I really detested that character in that movie, but then afterwards, I learned it was Austin, and I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" Like I was like shocked to realize to learn that Austin played that stupidly hideous character, and I was like, "Oh my!" It was nothing like Austin. It was like you were seeing something entirely different. Like it was an entirely different human up there, and he had nothing like the way he puts the knife on his tongue and the way he sounds vicious and how cute of a mama's boy he actually is in real life or in some of his other characters. And then to see that very ugly, detestable character be played by Austin, it was just so mind blowing. I was like, are you sure it was him? And then I looked real hard and long into the eyes of the character to make sure it was Austin. And then I realized, oh my God, I realized those lips. Those lips, yeah, here, these lips are so familiar. These are Austin's. And I was like shocked to see that he could play so many different roles, like a role like that, and he just embodied the role so well. You almost you can't recognize him in there, and it's just so brilliant. And I feel like he does say that he started acting like very very early on, like when he was a kid, and then he does a lot of theater. And I guess he really is a very strong actor. He's paid his dues. He's been uh, a very long before he got famous. He was involved in acting and theaters. I really think his fame now is very, very deserved. He's one of the very um, well-maintained actors in this entire industry, in entire Hollywood. Like, um, except for Timothy, because Timothy is also very like modest and stuff. But Austin is like a very very strong character. Like he doesn't. I don't think he's ever gonna lose his way. Like he's not one of those actors that gets addicted to some sort of a substance, kills himself later on. Like I feel like as well that a lot like Hollywood lately has steered away from that kind of a thing for some time now. I feel like a lot of players and actors in Hollywood are a lot more mature, a lot more grounded. A lot of them are now these days. I feel like the ones that are grounded are the ones that are getting a lot more fame and a lot more recognition. Otherwise, they wouldn't have. Because I feel like Hollywood is like the good movies that really matter. To make those, you really need to be professional, and only professional actors are given a chance or given a meaningful part in those movies. So the people they choose are actually good people, like grounded, mature people, even if they're young. Like they're very mature, they act very mature, not like the actors I knew back then. I mean, I'm not that old, but I've heard about like Elvis. Like if Elvis wasn't really an actor, but they don't turn out like that anymore. Like the other girl I really don't like. What's her name? She played Hannah Montana. I actually liked her face very much. What was her name? Hannah Mon. Yes. Oh. Oh no no no! The Hannah movie. The Hannah movie. No. Oh yeah, it is Miley Cyrus. Oh yes, Miley Cyrus. Like Miley Cyrus, she's just crazy. I mean, you gotta come with me on this page. She's crazy. Okay. And I feel like a lot less actors now are like Miley Cyrus. Let's just use her as a bad example. I'm sorry, Miley. I love you. Like she cares what I think. Well, whatever. I do love her. I really love her face, but I feel like lately she's a little bit crazy. Like she wasn't back in the day. Now she's getting a little crazy, and I don't know. But I feel like Hollywood in general has matured a lot, and the actors that are really getting a pass in Hollywood and are being able to play in big franchise movies or becoming real famous through big budgeted movies are very professional actors that have paid their dues, have played in theater for such a long time, and then they're really good actors as well. So it's not like a one night thing that they get into fame like very fast and quickly and then lose their head. It's not like that anymore, I feel like. It is still a lot like that in the music industry because in music you get to be famous a lot faster with a lot less effort. So they don't get to become matured through the process. So they become like Miley Cyrus, for example. Yeah. But in Hollywood, I feel like you really have to pay your dues. It's not as easy as it is in music to become real famous real fast. I feel like there's a lot more competition in the movie industry than it is in music because in music you can anyone can have a concert and anyone can go to it. But for a movie there's only one good role for one good movie, for example, every year, and it's very limited, a lot more limited, I feel like. And people getting accepted are a lot more interesting and mature, kind of like Austin. I love Austin. I'm not discriminating against Hannah on Miley because she's a woman, and I'm kind of jealous, kind of like that. It's not like that, and that because Austin is so obviously fantastically good looking, and I love him for that. It's not like that. Well, his good looks play into it, I'm sure. Well, yes, his looks are a lot important because if it wasn't for his looks, I wouldn't even go beyond to his mind or like yeah, it's very important. Yeah, and his other role, the bike riders, as soon as it came out, I went on and watched it. I was a little bit disappointed after watching it because I didn't get to see as much as him as much of him as I wanted to because his role was like very quiet. He didn't talk much. He just acted. He was kind of like the herd follower. He wasn't really a leader. It wasn't. I don't. I didn't really. I didn't love it. I liked. The movie was good, but I wanted to see more of him. Like I wanted to know more of him. Like I'm always the type of person that just wants to penetrate through the layers to see what's behind it, and I didn't get to see that much. And then when I got to see a little bit of the behind the scenes of his mind in the his character, that basically, it was that he was a follower, he wasn't a leader. So um, the bottom line was that, and I didn't like it as much. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I covered a lot of his important movies and I dissected him. Let's get on for the next one. Wait up for the next dissection. Have a good night. It is night in here, 7 p.m., so you too. Bye.